So there's this thing where you want something done, but how do you go and get it done? Now, there's not asking the question, is it based off of the thing that you get it done through, that step? Is it based off of an ultimatum or that of options and choice? And so then you ask yourself, if it's not necessarily based off of an option or choice, and like competition, because option and choice is competition, and competition is healthy because then it actually gives somebody a standard in a sense to go to and to kind of meet, and it's kind of a place where equal can kind of take place. And yet then you can see, if you go to that of an ultimatum, you don't have a choice. Even if you think you have a choice, it's just the illusion of a choice. When it's based off an ultimatum, then you don't have a choice. You just get to choose from either or. That's not really a choice. That's just the difference between the same option. And in a sense of giving you a choice, picking and choosing what is your best skill set to be able to at least get to a point where you can not drown, in a sense, and survive. To that of, well, at the same time, if a system is based off of ultimatums, then it is upon itself a monopoly. Now, when you have a monopoly, there is no competition, there isn't all of these other things. There are different scales to what a monopoly can be, because if you go ahead and put it to like a local scale for monopoly, and that one thing totally oversees being able to do everything else, well, it's at the same time though. This is kind of what got it going. That of, do you want a choice and have everything to be consensual, where you actually agree to everything, where you actually get a say in how it's yes and no into it? In the society of the government, it's stateism. There is no consensuality when it comes to stateism. So in all sense, if you really look at it, at the same time, when you have stateism, you have anarchy. If it was all based off of having options, there would not be anarchy, because there would only be that of competition to base off of what you choose from. And then when you go to the government, this is how it's the government's fault that everything is kind of how it is. They force everybody to do what they say. They're the only ones that can say any of that. Who given them that power? Who gave them that standpoint to where they have the authority to say they're the ones that everybody has to go through to build the roads? It should always be based off of an ultimatum, or it should always be based off of having options, having the ability to choose if you're going to go through the government to build the roads or if you're going to work with each other. Because I believe if we actually start working together and actually start having those kind of options, then life will start getting back on track. We would actually start putting back what we would take out. It's because of the government that we are unable to be able to put stuff back. We are only able to consume. Within that of itself, all we are doing is consuming ourselves to death. You can look at it as if the snake eating itself. It's the same thing. So if you actually have it to where you can put stuff together yourself, be as governing your own self, because you don't need a government necessarily to govern you. You know what's right and wrong. You know, in a sense of, you want to go from point A to point B. Do you want to do it on a road? Or do you want to do it, you know, not on a road? Do you want to go through the desert? Even though there's not that option anymore. It's a road, in a sense. I mean, you can, if you walk, sure, but it really comes down to, it's not that you don't want these things. It's that it shouldn't be a monopoly within you having to choose from that these things are done through. Because in a sense, if you don't drive on the road, like if somebody already paid for you to drive on the road, like they already bought the car, they did the registration, they paid for everything else, and you don't own that vehicle, you are just riding in it because they offered it to you, should you necessarily have to pay taxes and have to do any of that? But at the same time, it's putting your share in there. It's doing your part. It's doing the hard work for it. But in all sense, though, there's not this sense of allowing everybody to be able to represent themselves. There's no other options out there like that. This one option of this one government is a monopoly. There should be more abilities to represent yourself in today's life. You have it. You can travel the world and stay in one place. Now, is it being that you have to trust what that is over there like that? Sure. But if you can find something that you feel is truthful and trusted and stuff like that, then that is kind of a way of giving you an able to seeing what it is. Not a justification, not a judgment, just an able of being able to see what it can be. Then you judge it yourself, in a sense, if you go that far. It's just being in a place where you have to have a stateism upon you not being actually valued. Because when you have a stateism, you don't really actually get valued, you get a number. When you have it to where you have options, and I'm not quite sure the other word, or I guess it's consensualism would be maybe what it is, but you have to consent. You should be able to consent to doing any of that. I mean, there's a point to where you should be able to consent to that of if they should get paid, if the government people should get paid. Why are they the only ones that get to decide that kind of stuff? That's not okay. It shouldn't be, if we choose to let them pass this bill, then they get to vote yes or no. It should be do for the people. It should be the exact same thing. We shouldn't just have, there should be a point to where if you can write in, or you're not just write in, but if you can portray what you feel about how a bill is, then that's how somebody can vote yes or no for something like that. Because it needs to start being where you can represent yourself. You can have a say in it. The way it's been working is not. Because look at it. Look what's happening with people and stateism. Due to the stateism, due to the government, they had it to where we don't have jobs here. Everybody doesn't want to build stuff here. So they don't want to do anything here because of the government taxing so much. If it wasn't because of those monopoly people, because they shouldn't have that kind of say. Or it's not, it just comes down to simply, it's because of a stateism society and not being able to have consensualism in everyday life is because of that's why it's the way it is. So ask yourself next time, could you represent yourself better than somebody else? Because at least you would know. that you would actually be the one that represented yourself to the point that you would sneak something in there, so you would be the one that did it, not somebody else that's acting like they're representing you, and then they are the ones that get the benefit of it in a sense. So, yeah. Well, have fun.